Have you sold your soul to the devil? That's not a very common question. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Trevor Matsudara. And one time we were sitting down and just talking about life. And he was telling me why he doesn't accumulate things, why he doesn't buy extravagant things, even though economically he's one of the strongest people I know. He financially is a very not a wealthy man, but he's very well off. And he has an amazing wife who's also financially very intelligent, and together they've built a beautiful family. And one thing he said to me that impacted me was, what's the point of accumulating stuff if the more I accumulate, the more I become afraid of losing it? That impacted me the rest of my life, actually, because it brought me to the idea that he understands that if you start to have more, then you put in risk your values, your principles, because you're afraid of losing what you've made. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if it does, here, let me help you out with this. Let's say you have a Ferrari. You love that Ferrari. But now, if there's something that can happen in your life that will force you to lose that Ferrari, you will not put your values and your morals aside to keep your Ferrari. And I think that's where selling your soul really comes into play. Now, if you can buy the Ferrari and not be afraid to lose it, then you're not putting your values and your morals at risk. The problem is when you don't have enough and you do put that in risk. I've always wanted to talk about this idea because I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating how great people can put their souls on the block to sell it because they've accumulated wealth, but now they're afraid to lose their wealth. I think one of the most amazing things is when you have the knowledge of how to create wealth. When you know how to create wealth, then you're not afraid to lose it. You're not afraid to say, no, that goes against my values, that goes against my morals, even if it affects directly your economic well-being. To me, I find people like that. There's a great example of that, and it's the comedian Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was contracted by Comedy Central for $50 million to continue his show, but not the way he visioned it, not the way he wanted it. And he walked away from $50 million. And the whole world thought he was crazy. And then 10 years later, he comes back and he does his stand-up comedy routine and gets paid $70 million. But he did not put his values at risk. He did not put his morals at risk for $50 million. I find people like that fascinating. And I think there should be more people like that understand that money is valuable. Money is necessary, but money should never come before your values. Because if you keep your values intact, you can always make more money later on. And remember, the crutches are just in your mind.